Day. I call on Government Order of the Day number 4.
Rangatane tu mai rā, Wairarapa Tamaki Nui Arua Claim Settlement Bill, first reading.
Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Christopher Finlayson.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the Rangatane tu mai rā, Wairarapa Tamaki Nui Arua Claim Settlement Bill be now read a first time, and I nominate the Maori Affairs Committee to consider the bill. Mr. Speaker, only a month ago, I was welcomed onto Mākirikiri Marae in Dunivik to sign the deed of settlement with Rangatane o Wairarapa and Rangitane o Tamaki Nui Arua. And I'm so very pleased to extend a warm welcome to the members of Rangatane who've travelled to be here in Parliament for the first reading of the bill. Delighted you're here, and I'm delighted that they were able to listen to the second reading of the Rangitane o Manawatu bill, and I'm sure there are some representatives there. And next week I shall be reporting to Rangitane in Blenheim, in the Wairau, that their relations are well on the way, and frankly that some of them should have been here today as well. So thank you very much for coming. It's great to see you there, especially only 1 month after that wonderful signing at Mākirikiri Marae. At this time, my thoughts go to those members of Rangitane who've suffered the grievances addressed through this bill, those who began this journey and yet are no longer here to experience this point in the history of their great iwi. They are in our thoughts today. I also acknowledge those who are with us, some of whom are sitting in the gallery today, particularly Manahi Paiwai and Jim Rimini and Mavis Mullins, people who, but the earlier two, although Mavis is everywhere, started this process so many years ago and provided support and guidance to the iwi negotiators as the settlement has progressed. Rangitane have been served over the years by very devoted negotiators and advisors, and I acknowledge the huge amount of work over many years by the negotiating team. It's always dangerous and indeed inappropriate probably to name individuals, but I do want to acknowledge Tipene Crisp in the gallery. Most of the time he's on my side because he works for the Office of Treaty Settlements, but the call of the whānau was too great and he's been on the other side for this negotiation, as one would expect. Can I acknowledge the Chief Crown Negotiator, Rick Barker, for the tremendous work that he has done on the settlement. I'm sure he would like to be here today, but I have a feeling he's up in Hauraki. I also acknowledge the various Crown agencies and the regional and district councils for their work, and that's not pro forma thanks, because, for example, the Tararua District Council have been very, very helpful as we've dealt with a couple of issues on the way through, and I acknowledge them and their retiring mayor. Mr. Speaker, the journey to settlement for Rangitane stretches back many years. Claims on behalf of the iwi were lodged in the 1980s. Tribunal hearings were held in 2004 and 2005, and the Great Wairarapa ki Tararua report was released in June 2010. In October 2011, the Crown recognised the mandate of the Rangitane Settlement Negotiations Trust to negotiate the settlement of the treaty claims. Negotiations commenced following the signing of terms of negotiation in 2012. On 28 March 2014, I signed an agreement in principle which set out the settlement package, and as I said last month, I signed the deed of settlement after it had been ratified by members of Rangitane, and the warmth and the energy of the Rangitane tamariki radiated on what was otherwise a very cold Dunivik day. The Rangitane tu mai rā Claims Settlement Bill is being considered today, and it's going to give legislative effect to the redress that Rangitane will receive. And I want to take a moment to reflect on the history that sits behind the settlement legislation. Rangitane, and this came through so strongly at the signing ceremony, And I'd love some people who say, oh, the iwi are only interested in the money, to have been at Makirikiri Marae, because they would have seen that the history and the cultural redress were at the heart of what iwi members were seeking. It was really a beautiful ceremony. But Rangitane welcomed Pākehā settlers to their rohe from the mid-1840s. Rangitane enjoyed considerable benefits from leasing land to these settlers and trading with them. The Crown then applied pressure on Wairarapa Māori to end the leases and sell their land to the Crown. By the mid-1850s, the Crown had acquired about 3/5 of the traditional rohe of Rangitane. When purchasing land, the Crown led this iwi to expect substantial educational, health and economic benefits. In the course of time, however, Rangitane did not experience many of these benefits, nor the prosperity that they could reasonably have expected to receive from settlement in their region. Neither did they receive the reserves the Crown had promised to set aside for iwi. In the 1860s, through the Native Land Court legislation, the Crown introduced a new land tenure system which was simply inconsistent with Rangitane traditional customs. In 1871, the Crown acquired considerable areas of Rangitane land in Te Tapiri Nui o Whatonga, including 60,000 acres of the Mangatoka block, despite the express opposition of Rangitane leaders. Their communities resisted land sales. They attempted to maintain tribal structures through a number of initiatives, including the various parliaments and the long-standing fight of Ngereaha Tamaki, who took his case to the Privy Council. In a landmark decision, the Privy Council reversed the decision of the Court of Appeal and acknowledged that a system of customary Māori land tenure did exist and deserved recognition in court decisions. It's one of those interesting items of history that when the Supreme Court bill was going through in the early 2000s, everyone said that we needed a Supreme Court which would be more sensitive to resolution of Treaty of Waitangi claims, but the Privy Council actually understood this stuff very well indeed, and the Crown lost more often than it won when dealing with these issues. In fact, so much so that at one stage, one Saturday morning in the early 1900s, there was a gathering of all the judges and the lawyers in Wellington, and they had what was called a protest of the bench and bar, grumbling about a Privy Council decision which had been favourable to Māori. But Mr. Speaker, I digress, so back to the bill. The government's response to the Privy Council decision was to limit Māori rights to investigate the government's land purchases through the courts. In 1896, Rangitane leaders were involved in gifting ownership of the Wairarapa Lakes to the Crown. Instead of providing ample reserves in the vicinity of the lakes as agreed, the Crown provided reserves several hundred kilometres away in the King Country. Unbelievable today, but that's what happened. By the early 20th century, the same sad story, Rangitane virtually landless, and their communities struggled to maintain their customary homes, their knowledge and language, and then came urbanisation in the 20th century. So it's a grim background, and it's one that I invite everyone in the rohe of Rangitane to read and understand, because they will understand exactly why we're doing what we're doing today. Last month at Makirikiri Marae, I presented the Crown apology to Rangitane, who graciously accepted it, and it was said that it would go a long way to helping Rangitane people understand who they are. So there's a big settlement package here, and I'm almost out of time. And what I want now is to commend the bill to the House, and if it passes, it will go to the Māori Affairs Committee, and I know that they're going to do a very good job and get the bill back to the House very, very quickly. I say this all the time, but it's heartfelt every time I say it. It's not possible to compensate Rangitane fully for the loss and prejudice suffered. I acknowledge the generosity in accepting the apology, and I believe the settlement outlined in this bill is going to help Rangitane realise their further endeavours and their aspirations. Mr. Speaker, I consider the bill should proceed without delay to the Māori Affairs Committee. I commend the bill to the House.